Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Jordan and today I'm here to bring you my wrap up for the month of July. I'm so excited. July ended on a bang. I just watched Black is King, so I'm super hyped. You could feel all the good vibes, but I also read some really good books, which is why we're here. So rein it in. Let's talk about the books. I'm gonna start. I liked last month how I started with the books that I enjoyed the most and went in that order. So I'm gonna keep that same energy. If you are not already subscribed, make sure to subscribe. I looked at my analytics and half of y'all who watch my videos aren't subscribed. So definitely do so if you like the content. So yeah, let's get started. So the first book I'm talking about is called The Voting Booth by Brandy Colbert. This is a young adult romance and I freaking loved. When I heard the title, The Voting Booth, I was like, I'm really just looking for romance. I'm really not. This sounds horrible, but I was like, there was so much going on where I was like, I'm a little stressed. I need a little bit of just happy endings and love and all things beautiful. Somehow the voting booth, I don't know how she was able to do it, but she was able to insert real issues and real stuff and still show beautiful black boy joy, black girl joy, all that good stuff and happiness and cutesy romance and all the good feels. I mean, literally this book is set in the setting of one day, which that's another thing. I'm like, okay, it's a book in one day. I don't know how I'm hit or miss with those. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. These two young characters, Marva and Duke, really trying to go out there to vote, but everything is going wrong. And Marva is somehow like this young person who's on fire, passionate about voting, and is like, nah, on my watch. And their whirlwind kind of starts from there. But Duke's like in a band, he's happy-go-lucky, but he's had some real stuff in his life. And I love how the tragedy was not the arc of this story. Like some of the tragic events are just relatable events to make characters real holistic, real characters with personality, with fun, with beauty, with all of that. And even with Marva is very serious, but it also shows like some of her real thoughts, her real worries, her real everyday teenage high school issues. And I just loved these two characters and the cover art. I pictured those two beautiful kids just living their day out and having fun and doing things that high schoolers do. And I freaking loved it. The next book that I read was actually a suggestion. I asked somebody, well, not somebody, I asked Twitter, I was like, hey, I would like to read romance. Please recommend something. And preferably if it's science fiction and romance, that would be like a dream. And they recommended Phoenix First Must Born. And I was like, okay, let me check it out. I've seen it, but whatever. And it's not romance. There's romance stories in it, but it's all science fiction and fantasy. And it's a collection of stories, 16 stories from different Black authors, different authors, and it's all own voices. And they're telling these stories of vampires, mermaids, freaking time traveling, magic, witches, hair braiding, like every sukuyans, freaking lugalus. Like you guys, if you guys are Haitian, you probably don't know those, but that's what I'm saying. Like it was like literally so many different stories in there, and it was bomb. Like some of the stories in there were just like okay, and then some were like really good. The heroines in these are all these girls that just rock. Anyways, I'm going on a tangent. Just know that I really enjoyed that collection of stories. So I'm so thankful. Thank you for that recommendation, because it ended up being a really, really good one. So the next two books I read are romance. Y'all know I love Alyssa Cole. Like the Reluctant Royal series, I read each and every one of those books, even the halves, all of it, loved it. I've read like two other books that were not a part of any series, like The AI Who Loved Me and all that other stuff. But so I'm like, I love her writing, so I trust it. I actually have never read the Loyal League series, which I never read because it is based in the time of slavery, and I get uncomfortable sometimes reading books based in slavery. I don't know how to explain it, but that's just the truth. So I was reluctant to read it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a try. So I read the first book in the series, which is an extraordinary union, which is interesting with that book because that book, it was written so well. How do I put this? It was written so well, and I finished the book. First off, I don't finish books I don't like. Like, that's just not me. If I'm not feeling a book, I'll just stop reading it. The book was written well, and it's this romance of this main character. This first story, at least, is Elle, and it's her romance. She's a spy in the Union, and she falls in love with another spy, McCall, who is white and an Irishman. And even though he's not like a slave owner in it, because of some of the things and how she keeps saving him and all this other stuff, the timing of it was just a little uncomfortable for me. I'm gonna be honest. So that's gonna be one that clearly I did enjoy because I finished the book, but I can't say I loved it, and I can't say that I want to recommend y'all reading it, especially not right now. But what I will say is I was like, let me see if there's any other, because within the series they follow different characters, and they actually follow Daniel, who is mentioned in the first book because it's like Elle's childhood friend. I'm going on a whole rant on this. But anyways, long story short, he falls in love with a girl, Hanetta, and they're both spies as well. But I really liked that story a lot better because there wasn't as much power dynamics. And it also touched on being Black and Latin American and or Latina and all that other stuff, because she's Cuban. The main love interest is Black and Cuban, and she doesn't really identify as being Black even though she is Black. And it talks about that, and it's interesting because those same issues back then are same issues people are facing now. And it's like, oh my God, the way that white supremacy has done its number is ridiculous. But it's still also romance and that funness of it and the adventure and the action of it. So I enjoyed that book a lot more. And that one was An Unconditional Freedom. I did not read book 2 because I was like, let me skip. I'm probably going to go back and read book 2 now that I really liked book 3 within the series. But I'm interested in to know your thoughts on the Loyal League series because I liked it, and I liked the first book. I actually liked the first book, but if any of you guys have read it during this time, I feel like I should have read it months ago or like last year, where I wasn't having to see just random stuff going on. Yeah, it's just a tough one because you're like in the time of slavery and you're seeing someone who's constantly risking their life to save you, and it's like, bruh, yes, he risked his life once or twice, but it wasn't really to save her. It was like to save himself. So, but bruh, I ain't trying to do all the work now. So, yeah. Let me move on. The next book that I read is Saving Ruby King. This is like a mystery / thriller. This was actually my least favorite read of the month. It's not that it's a bad book. It's just I like the other books more. This book is based in Chicago, and it's based around Ruby King, who, you know, by the title, you know, she needs to be saved. That's in your head. That's what you're thinking. But it's actually a very complicated story of lineage of families, these families whose lives have been intertwined by secrets and family lies, and there's abuse going on. It deals with a lot of domestic violence. It deals with child abuse. It deals with a lot of stuff. The book is based in Chicago. It's surrounding a pastor's daughter and then also their family friend, and Ruby King herself, whose best friend is really trying to save her, just like her father tried to save Ruby King's father. And really the whole thing, it immediately starts out with knowing that Ruby King's mother was murdered. You don't know who did it or how it happened, but there's a lot of speculation, and you're like trying to figure out what happened to her mother, and then also how can we help Ruby King. But through that, you're getting all these different stories, and it was interesting, but it was like midway through to the end, I had to decide, do I want to keep going or do I want to give up? Because I wasn't enjoying the story. Like, some of the things are really spelled out for people, where when you're dealing with like racism or different stuff or police brutality or something of that nature, it's like some of these things, it's like, if you're Black, you don't need it explained to you. But of course, if someone's writing for a larger audience, they're explaining a lot of details for microaggressions and all these other stuff. And some of those things, when they're spelled out, it's like, oh my God, the people could look it up, is how I feel. But in my head, I'm like, I know it was written for a broader audience, just that. But it wasn't like it was written for a broader audience in the sense of toning down blackness, which I appreciate. It's just more so doing a lot of the work of explaining things that I think of as duh. Yeah, I hope that doesn't come off harsh, because I thought it was a good story. It's just, those are the periods where I'm like, oh my God, we could have cut like 100 pages out if we just didn't as much. Ooh, y'all don't hurt me. But this book has gotten so many great reviews and all this other stuff, so don't let me deter you from wanting to read it. I did finish the book, which I tell you, I don't finish books if I don't like it. But I really did finish primarily because I really wanted to know who killed this girl's mama. And we find out who killed the girl's mama. So just to let you know, if you do end up reading the book and you're wondering, are we ever going to find out? You do find out. And yeah, that's really my month in reading. Let me know if you've read any of these books. What were your thoughts on them? And then also let me know what you're planning on reading or what you think I should read, because I'm taking the suggestions. I want, just so y'all know, I want things that are going to make me happy, bring me joy, make me feel replenished and feel good. That's what I'm looking for the month of August. So do with that what you will. If it's romance and sci-fi, even better. All right, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Love and light. Deuces.